Every day at 1 p.m. is our Central Indiana Scoreboard Show, our Sports Center style scoreboard show for Central Indiana. Everything from high school sports all the way Pacers, Colts, IU, Purdue, Fever, IndyCar, all that stuff, and lots of national sports news. It's like your sports section in audio form every day at 1 p.m. This episode is podcast number 255.2, the Madison County Sports Report with Rob Hunt. This week focusing on the Madison County Baseball Championship between Lapel and Pendleton Heights.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Rob, I think this was officially the most anticipated Madison County Tournament Championship game since it was, 2 weeks between the semifinals and finals to kind of build up. The teams only had 2 losses combined, and you got a good one on Friday. Tell us about the Madison County Championship, Rob.
Yeah, if this was, the Mueller tournament's going to continue, but if this is the last time that it'll be utilized as the Madison County Baseball Championship, then it certainly lived up to all expectations, and it left us with a good one. We just missed having 2 undefeated teams play the Mueller final, which I don't know has ever happened. Lapel lost the previous Saturday, I believe, to HSC, and Pendleton Heights had split earlier in the week with Mount Vernon in the conference. So, like you said, both teams one loss. Both teams are ranked. Quality coaches. Of course, Matt Campbell was originally a coach over at Pendleton, so there's all those underlying themes, and both teams had outstanding pitchers that they could throw. So we ended up with just a phenomenal baseball game. High drama. It was back and forth. We had everything, including extra innings and a little bit of rain during the game. I mean, it was phenomenal. Congratulations to Lapel for conquering the Arabians on the road. They get the game winner in the 9th inning from Ray Smith, who was a big bat all night.
Yeah, Ray Smith. What a season he's having so far.
Yeah, that whole you look at that lineup up and down. That's a dangerous baseball team. I wouldn't want to pitch to that lineup because they didn't get much of anything from like Jackson Kripe, who's just a phenomenal player in the middle of their lineup. He took the collar that night, but Ray Smith's the guy who steps up a little lower in the order, but hits the ball with authority. He had a 2-run double earlier in the game, and then connected for that RBI single in the 9th. Big shout out to the starting pitchers for both teams. Kai Newman for Lapel, who I believe would probably be the one pitcher in Madison County that could really shut down the Pendleton offense, or at least had that capability. And he, for the most part, he did. And then Braden Stevenson, the starter pitcher for Pendleton Heights, he was our pitcher of the year last year. He's going to play at Ball State. And what was both, by the way, battled because partially because they were facing a tough lineup, but also because neither one of them had necessarily their best stuff. Both struggled with their control from time to time. I know Kai hit a couple kids. Braden walked several. So neither one of them really had their best stuff. But boy, when the chips were down, a couple got out bases loaded jams, got big strikeouts in big situations. It was a lot of fun to watch. If you like some good pitching, it was a lot of fun to watch.
And it's 2 programs with the potential to make long postseason runs, but they're both going to have really tough sectionals.
Absolutely. I mean, Lapel's going to have to deal with, the defending champions in that sectional, Franklin, who, if nobody's noticed, is starting to play a little better lately.
Yeah, that spring break thing. That spring break thing the last couple of years has really broken their rhythm, and they've had to fight to get their momentum back, it seems.
Yeah, and I don't even know that they had any momentum before the spring break because they had a bunch of games rained out, and they got started and it got stopped in the middle of the game. So it's starting to feel a little bit like last year when they were, I think at one point they were 6 or 7 games under 500 and kind of got on a roll. Maybe not. I don't know how many of us actually noticed the way they were playing in the second half of the season last year. They got on a roll and made it to regionals. So, that, and then of course it's Franklin Lapel. If that ends up being a matchup in that sectional, that it's just going to be a lot of fun. And then Pendleton Heights, that sectional is another one that's loaded. Anderson's playing very well. and Mount Vernon is in that section. Always a big battle between those two, regional foes, regional rivals, and conference rivals. They're the Pendleton and Mount Vernon.
And earlier, actually, it was April. We had Alexandria win the tennis championship
Mm-hmm.
and the softball championship. Man, what a year it's been for Alexandria softball. They look like the best of probably the best sectional in the state.
That sectional is going to be tough. I mean, Madison Grand is in that sectional, and they've had a great run in the sectional in the past several years. When that thing, I'm not sure off the top of my head. I think it's at least 3, maybe 4 in a row.
4, I think.
I think it's 4, and so with the realignment now, they're in with Alexandria, which makes more sense, to be honest. They're
Yes.
right down the road from each other. Doesn't necessarily make sense to me that they have to drive to Blackford to play each other, but
Right, but you could walk from one school to the other.
Right. They just played last week, and Alexandria had a big lead, and Madison Grant rallied late to get that thing close. And Madison Grant's a loaded lineup.
Yes, they are.
I'll start with that. That batting order, there's not an easy out in the bunch. So, so kudos to any pitcher who can keep them quiet, which Brentley Humphreys did for most of that game. And you talk about Alexandria, again, a loaded lineup. Especially when you look at their top 4 in the order are all sophomores, and they all hammer the ball. I mean, they absolutely hammer the ball. And then with Humphreys in the circle, for the most part, once Alexandria gets a 3, maybe 4 run lead, it's Katie Bar. Turn out the lights. I mean, because Humphreys just does not give up that many runs. Her ERA actually ballooned this week to 0.61.
Yeah, by far the most
year.
unhittable pitcher around here so far.
And she just won a 9-inning battle with our second best in terms of my area. This is Olivia Watson out there at Shenandoah. They went 9 innings against each other, and I think Humphrey struck out 17 in that 9 innings. So
that's right.
Alexandria is, I think they have a little chip on their shoulder. They were not ranked at the start of the year, which drew a look of amazement on my face.
Me too. Oversight, as they say.
And that's part of why preseason polls are just, especially in high school, are just dumb. Yes. And they're going to get even dumber now with the transfer situation. Nobody voting from South Bend is going to know who's transferring where in Bloomington.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
So I ignore the polls until maybe halfway through the season. Now is probably the time to start paying attention to what the polls say. Having said all that, Alexandria and Madison Grant, it was a great game last week. I'm sure it will be again when some of them make the drive to Hartford City for that one.
And of course, Lapel is the defending state champion. Frankton has been really good. So the 2A softball, of course, there are 2 different sectionals for some reason with our schools, but this area is without question the top in the state in 2A right now, and
pretty good.
All those teams have been so good so far.
Yeah, and minor correction, Lapel was runner-up last year at the state level, but what a great run it was, and they had a battle with Frankton earlier this year in the regular season. It was went right down to the final batter.
That's
so, and Lapel, we talk about loaded lineups. That they may be the one lineup that is as loaded, if not more so, than what Madison Grant and Alexander run out there. They 1 through 9. I mean, they just come at you in waves, and they have not necessarily a dominant pitcher, but they have a very deep pitching staff. Ava Zanowski's kind of ascended to that role of maybe being their number 1 starter. But they'll let you look at a pitcher for one time through the order, then they'll bring somebody else in who just throws completely different. And that's a great approach. I mean, if you don't have a Brinley Humphreys or somebody like her who can get the same 9 kids out 3 times in a day, then that's the way to go. So I don't know who's coming out of these sectionals, because Lapel and Frankton are pretty even. Frankton's under the radar, playing very well. They also have really good pitching with Paige Parker. We knew about her. Then Zoe Koppas comes in as a freshman. Those of us who remember her older sister pitched them to the semi-state a few years ago. Her Zoe is throwing the ball really well. She throws hard. They've got some good offense with Allie Smith and Ava Stanley and some of those girls. Auburn Engelking is a dynamic player behind the plate. That's a great lineup. I don't know who's coming out of the sections. Somebody, and then those two sectionals champions will meet in regional. One of those four teams is going to the state finals. I'm telling you right now, and I don't know which one it is, but I think whoever comes out of that group is going to make a run, and we're going to see them at Purdue later in the year.
I think you're probably right.
That's a bold prediction, but I just, having seen all four of those teams up close multiple times this year, they are that talented. They are that good.
Well, Rob, in the next couple of weeks, let's talk some golf and some track because we got a lot of good stuff around here
Sure.
and some big events coming up. So thank you so much for your time today, and go Pacers. And of course, the Pacers win. Thank you so much to Rob for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report and talking some Madison County sports. Love his passion for Madison County sports and love hearing his take on what's been going on every week here on the Central Indiana Sports Report. And thank you so much for listening. Always appreciate it. If you like these segments, please share them with your friends and family. That helps us so, so much. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.